And I give the floor to the representative of the Russian Federation.
Спасибо, господин.
Thank you, Mr. President. We thank the Special Envoy of the Secretary General Jan Kubish for his briefing on the situation in Libya. We are also grateful to the Chair of Security Council Sanctions Committee 1970, Mr. Tirumurti, for his briefing on the work of this council subsidiary body, and we have also listened carefully to Ms. Asma Khalifa. Mr. President, we have been cautiously monitoring the potential development of the military and political situation in Libya. On the one hand, the situation in the former Jamahiriya has improved markedly compared to the previous period. Thanks to the signing of an agreement on the cessation of hostilities in October of last year, a general ceasefire has been maintained, which has made it possible to move forward on the political settlement track. The necessary conditions were created for the formation in February and March of this year of joint transitional authorities. Libyans have begun to gradually overcome the mutual destruct caused by many years of conflict and to take joint steps to unify state structures and institutions. At the same time, we cannot fail to be concerned that the implementation of the roadmap for the settlement approved by the Libyan Political Dialogue Forum has begun to falter. During the LPDF meetings held in July and August, its participants did not manage to reach a consensus on the adoption of a legislative framework for organizing national elections scheduled for December of this year. At the moment, discussions are still ongoing within the framework of the LPDF. We hope that Libyans will be able to overcome the differences that have accumulated and to find common ground because, in fact, the future of the Libyan people is at stake. It is regrettable to hear that some are already speaking out in favor of postponing or dividing the presidential and parliamentary elections into two stages. Such a development could nullify all the cumulative progress made in recent months. We are convinced that the success of the future elections and the political process as a whole will directly depend, among other things, on the degree of inclusiveness, which implies the involvement of all the leading political forces of the country, representatives of all regions, and the former authorities. Mr. President, we note on the military track that the cessation of hostilities more than a year ago has been a major achievement. However, further progress towards a comprehensive and final settlement of the armed conflict in Libya requires active efforts. Decisions taken within the framework of the 5+5 Joint Military Commission, which plays an important role in unifying the country's armed forces and generally stabilizing the security situation, remain largely on paper. And the full opening of the coastal route between the west and the east of the country is also awaiting final agreement. Meanwhile, the parties are blaming each other for any failure to meet obligations. This precarious situation is directly related to the unresolved issue of foreign military presence in Libya. We support an incremental and time-synchronized withdrawal of all non-Libyan armed groups and divisions. At the same time, it is important to maintain the current balance of power on the ground, thanks to which no new threat of a new cycle of confrontation has emerged. It is also important not to forget about the interests and experience of Libya's neighbors when it comes to the repatriation of foreign combatants. We are convinced that there is no alternative to a comprehensive peaceful settlement of the Libyan crisis under the auspices of the UN. We welcome the initiatives of Special Envoy Kubish and Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of Libya, Mr. Mankush, aimed at stabilizing the security situation in the country. We are ready to interact constructively with our international partners. We also believe the humanitarian initiative of the chair of the Presidential Council to be important. This initiative involves launching a project of comprehensive national reconciliation, within the framework of which some concrete steps have already been taken to restore trust between Libyan forces. And we trust that this initiative will make a significant contribution to Libyan reconciliation. In conclusion, Mr. President, I would like to note that we continue to be concerned by the problem of illegal migration and the proliferation of weapons in Libya, which affects security both in the country itself and in the Sahara-Sahel region overall. We hope to see more effective inspection efforts off the coast of Libya, which should be carried out in strict observance of international law. At the same time, we would like to underscore that international restrictions should help the political process and the return of stability in Libya rather than harm it. Work is currently underway on a resolution to extend the mandate of the United Nations Support Mission in Libya. We will be careful about revising the objectives and the structure of UNSMA. We are convinced that the most important thing right now is to preserve all the progress made to date and the capacity of the mission, especially during the pre-election stage, which is so important for the country. We believe that the UN should focus its efforts on this very track instead of spreading itself too thin. Thank you for your attention.
I thank the representative of the Russian Federation for his statement.